Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am VJ Verna Husky, the Big Vanilla Funny, the Big Vanilla Sports Talk Poppy, coming to you from lovely Crypto.com Arena in downtown Los Angeles for a major Western Conference tilt between the number 3 seed in the Western Conference, the Denver Nuggets, against the home number 4 seed in the Western Conference, Los Angeles Lakers. A lot of storylines tonight. First things first, Mr. LeBron James, the king, the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, will not suit up and play tonight, still dealing with some of the groin issues that he suffered in that Boston defeat over a week and a half ago. But all the other stars are out tonight. Among all the stars you see walking around me already, Luka Doncic will be suited up and ready to go tonight. He is warming up live behind us right now. And then also on the opposite side, the Joker, the 2-time MVP, the NBA champion, Jamal Murray. Denver's loaded. Some of their must-haves and key to the games I'll bring to you guys. But let's first start with the Los Angeles Lakers. And the reason why this game is so big, excuse the roar right now, for big things happening. I told you it's a big game tonight, guys. Big stuff happening at Crypto.com. Excuse me. So, start with the Los Angeles Lakers. First of all, they're sitting in the number 4 seed right now. They are a game behind the Denver Nuggets to show how important this game is here tonight. Above them, a game and a half, are the Houston Surprise Rockets. That's what I'm calling them. And they are a game and a half above them. But the Lakers do play them twice over the next 2 weeks, so they'll have a chance to catch them and get as high as the 2, the 3, or they can sit right now in the 4. Tonight's game is pivotal for the Lakers bench and what I like to call the must-haves. I know Shaq calls them the others, but I call them the must-haves because you must have them. And I'm talking about guys like Dalton Connect. I'm talking about guys like Jackson Hayes. I'm talking about guys like Dorian Finney-Smith. Those guys tonight need to show up and help Luka do what they do. And then also, too, he's not a third option. He might be a 1C or a 2B, and that's Mr. Austin Reeves tonight. He needs to be big coming off a 30-point night 2 nights ago against the San Antonio Spurs. As we move over to the Denver Nuggets, what more can you say about this team? They're top 5 in scoring. They're top 5 in rebound. Nikola Jokic, the Joker, 2-time MVP, 1-time NBA champion, is top 5 in 3 categories. He leads his team in 4 statistical categories. Their must-haves tonight, Michael Porter Jr. and my man Christian Brown from University of Kansas, NCAA champion. They're averaging 25 points combined. Denver is going to need that to get a win here on the road tonight, as they also have the Rockets one more time. Keys to the game tonight are very simple to me. It's going to be the turnovers. The Lakers are averaging 13.5. The Nuggets are averaging 13. So there's the wash right there. Then rebound. The Nuggets are 5th in the league. The Lakers are 26th in the league. The Lakers must rebound tonight. Whoever wins the rebound battle. I'm 3-0 in the last time I said the Lakers, if they win the rebound battle, they would win the game. I'm 3-0 the last time. I want to go 4-0 in that category. If the Lakers can rebound the basketball tonight, they could have a great shot at winning this game. Ladies and gentlemen, I will finish up with this. It's very simple. The Lakers can be 4, 5, or they can be 2. It is really all in their hands. They play everybody in front of them. Tonight's the first of a back-to-back, and Saturday will end a 5-game stretch of home games here against the visiting under 500 eliminated from the playoffs Chicago Bulls. But tonight, they have the Nuggets. Tomorrow, Giannis Antetokounmpo, NBA champion and NBA MVP, will take this court. Big time to start tonight with a big win for the Lakers as they finish out this homestand and try to move their way up to the 3rd and the number 2 seed. That's all for the pregame for me, man, from VJ Verna Husky, the Big Vanilla Funny, the Big Vanilla Sports Talk Poppy, coming to you guys from Crypto.com Arena, downtown Los Angeles, Infanity TV.
Hey, JJ, the last 2 times you played Denver, obviously different personnel. How similarly were you able to, I guess, play defense or execute defensively what you wanted to when LeBron and Rui weren't there, relative to the game in February where you kind of had everybody? How different were the schemes and the way that you played on that? On defense?
Thought we were okay in execution in the second game in Denver. Really, our transition defense was really poor. We still limited Jokic's touches, but I thought overall it was okay. And then, we obviously have placed a huge emphasis on our transition defense. We have to be better there tonight.
And then just generally, without LeBron and Rui, and we'll see when you get them back the next couple, but how much more difficult is it defensively just without their size, kind of their collective know-how, and how much do other guys have to compensate?
Yeah, it's tough. Both those guys have been so good for us on that end, and Rui kind of just being a connector, just being able to switch everything, and then LeBron with his. I literally said to him during the San Antonio game during a timeout, I said, "You know what we miss? We miss your voice on the defensive end. We miss our communication level has gone down significantly, and talk is a contagious thing, and when one guy is consistently talking, it forces everybody else to. So miss both those guys a lot. And then with LeBron, obviously he's an elite defensive rebounder and can go grab a basketball that's outside of his space as well as anyone at his position.
Two quick ones for you. Looking back to the game in Denver last week, I know you've spoken about the competitive spirit that Austin brings to the floor, but I'm just curious if you could just comment on the sequence that he had where he rips it from Jokic late in the game and then scores on the other end. He's been, I guess, getting deserved attention recently for his play right now, but I don't know if you think that sequence speaks about who he is as a player.
Well, you could point to a lot of sequences throughout the year. I think it was after the Portland game in Portland, right after the break, where he made 3 monster plays on the defensive end that were just in a game that was one of the most physical games we played all year. And he's playing without Luka and having to bring the ball up against Kamara. And it's like, no, I'm going to go Willis to win. And it doesn't have to be by making shots. Again, his competitive resolve is very high.
And I think the last time we asked you about him, it was day to day, but you had just mentioned Rui. Do we know anything more about when he could potentially be playing?
Both him and LeBron are still day to day.
JJ, I'm sure in a perfect world you would be gathering information about your team right now that might be useful in a playoff series or might be useful down the road, but you're missing 2 really big pieces. I guess, is there useful information still to be mined right now? And then I guess secondly, because of how Luka plays, is that some of that stuff kind of thrown out the window? Just because like so much of it is just sort of reacting to this sort of unique singular force.
I think you can always gather information from any game, and tonight will be no different, and tomorrow will be no different. Even though they're an Eastern Conference team, like you're in constant evaluation mode, and with the Luka stuff, he has the ability to draw multiple defenders, whether that's in isolation or in the post or in pick and roll. And I think some of the pick and roll stuff we've been looking at with our analytics crew, we've executed well against the blitzes and shocks. So, again, like I said the other night, Greg St. Jean has done a good job with limited practice time in his film edits pregame to make sure that we're organized.
JJ, curious on one more on Austin Reeves. He's had great offensive games these last few games. I don't know how much it's talked about his distribution. What's the balance you'd like to see for him, I guess, in a perfect scenario? How aggressive he is in trying to get buckets and how aggressive he is in trying to distribute for others as LeBron's not in right now?
Yeah, I think that part of it has evolved throughout the year. And I'd have to kind of go through, but, it feels like Austin, LeBron, Rui, and probably Gabe, I would say. I'm maybe missing one guy. Just in terms of being on the court every night they're available, those are like the 4 guys that have lived through the 3 iterations of our team. And Austin's role is the one that's changed each time. So I think the aggressiveness is has to be turned up, and he knows that, and that's how he thrives. He's more times than not going to make the right play. Again, when we first got Dorian, and he was thrust into the primary full-time point guard, ball handler, lead ball handler role, we realize we have to be willing to live with some stuff, just like with Luka, you're willing to live with some stuff. With LeBron, you're willing to live. They're difference makers, and that's not to say you don't coach them and hold them accountable for certain things, but there's some ill-advised shots sometimes for some, the star players. I was never a star, but I shot a lot of ill-advised shots. I had some coaches that gave me some wiggle room. Some didn't. That's fine. But we're willing to live with some stuff with Austin. We just like when his aggressiveness is turned up. We trust him with the basketball in his hands.
Since the All-Star break, you guys are ranked, I think, 6th in terms of the amount of threes you guys allow per game. Also 6th in wide open threes you guys allow per game, but teams are shooting pretty low percentages on both. What are you making of, I guess, the kind of shots you guys allow, the game plan discipline defensively, just those areas over the past month or so?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good, for sure. And again, we analyze this stuff, and just in terms of luck percentage, I haven't got the updated thing in the last few games, but for a long stretch, 28, 30 games, it wasn't like teams were shooting unlucky against us. Like I said, we're good with it.
Coach, you said you focused on not making the play-in, avoiding the play-in this season. Is there a number of wins you guys have discussed internally that you feel you need to get to in order to secure a playoff spot?
No.
JJ, I just wanted to know about how you've seen, without Rui and LeBron, how you've seen this team kind of evolve and grow, and what encourages you about what you've learned from this stretch of games without them, and as you anticipate the return of them, how you see that gelling?
Again, it's been I think a good opportunity for Austin. Outside of the Brooklyn game, he's just been fantastic. Again, it gives guys opportunities to grow. I think Goody has played really well. Jackson's played really well. And there's been some really good games from some other guys that aren't necessarily in the full health rotation where you feel comfortable after this stretch, putting them in a pinch. I thought, Shake's had some really good games and moments for us. Christian has as well. And those guys just got to continue to stay ready.
JJ, hi. Adam Leventhal from The Athletic. I've got a bit of a random question for you.
I love random questions.
I'm over here covering the soccer between US, Canada, Mexico, and Panama, which has a slightly different dynamic with what Donald Trump's saying about those various nations at the moment. I know you've spoken about politics in the past. How do you balance out wanting to say something and having an influence and not saying anything at all and keeping out of it?
Yeah, I think my thoughts around that have evolved as I've gotten older, and certainly comfortable speaking my opinion. But I also recognize that people have become very sensitive to virtue signaling. And so, again, if there's something that needs to be said, I'll say it. And if there's something that needs to be done, I'll do it.
Good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. I'm VJ Vernon Husky, the Big Vanilla Funny, the Big Vanilla Sports Talk Poppy, coming to you guys from lovely Crypto.com Arena in downtown Los Angeles as the home Los Angeles Lakers scrape the visiting Denver Nuggets 120-108. The game was not even that close. We'll get into more on that and some of the ins and outs of tonight's games. Just big stars not being stars or not being available tonight. LeBron James was also out tonight too. And then at the last minute, we were all kind of shocked that there will be no two-time MVP, no not defending champion a few years ago, NBA champion Joker and Nikola Jokic, and Murray was also out tonight also. So not big stars, but there was one big star in the building, and that was Luka Doncic. He's got the Lakers off to a fast start tonight. 21 points in the first quarter to start this thing. The Lakers throw up 46 on the board, and the game was over. They're starting to become a theme with this Los Angeles Lakers team, and they are really kicking people's ass in the first quarter. and teams cannot make up these insurmountable leads. 7 of the last 10 home games, they have built 20-point leads early and have been able to hold and beat those teams. And those are teams that are under 500, right at 500, and above 500. This is slowly, guys, and I dare to say this, turning into Luka Doncic's team in this man's arena tonight as he goes for 31, 9, and 8 and a plus 28 in his plus-minus rating. The Los Angeles Lakers are now tied in the 3rd seed with the Denver Nuggets, and it seemed like tonight that they took the gas off a little bit in the second half, in the third quarter, because the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo come in tonight. They are tied in the Eastern Conference with the Detroit Pistons that caught themselves a last-minute win with a Cade Cunningham 3 with 0.6 seconds all the way back east down south in Miami. So just some game notes here. As I mentioned, the Lakers jumped out to a huge 19-point lead, and at that point, they were shooting 69% from the field. They were shooting 58% from the three-point line, and they were also 4 for 4 from the free throw line, so they just was not missing. But it all stirred up with Luka Doncic as they built the lead up to 19 points at that point. Second quarter was a little bit more the same, but they come back down to earth as they only scored 27 points down from the 46. But the Denver Nuggets just could not make up that lead, and they ended up taking a 14-point lead into the half at that point too. In the third quarter, after the half, when they come out, the Lakers just came back out again, hitting three-pointer after three-pointer. At that point, they were 15 of 27 from 3. The Lakers have not hit that many threes in the last 7 games, so they were just completely on fire tonight. And like I said, the Denver Nuggets didn't have some of their big dogs out there tonight, but it didn't matter. The Lakers didn't have their biggest dog in LeBron James, the king, and Luka still took over. I mentioned in the postgame and the pregame that the rebounding was going to be huge for the Lakers tonight. They did very well on the glass, even though finished under. But once the Lakers got this lead at one point to 28 points, they only had an advantage in one team statistical category, and that was an assist at 23-16. This was just the Luka show right here tonight, gentlemen. As I mentioned, 31, 9, and 8 tonight. Also, too, a Bronny James sighting. Bronny James ended up getting to the game late tonight, too, to the joy of the sellout crowd here at Crypto.com. So the Lakers moved to 43-25. They are now up to 3rd place. They'll take on the Milwaukee Bucks tomorrow night. Then Saturday night, they'll have the under 500 Chicago Bulls coming in here to end their 5-game stint. Now, moving on for the Lakers, because things get very interesting. As I mentioned in the pregame, the Lakers could be as high as the 2 seed and could finish as low as the 5 seed. So coming up for the Lakers, I mentioned the Bucks and the Bulls. Then they will go on the road to take on an Orlando Magic team that is struggling with the play-in right now. They did end the Cleveland Cavaliers 16-game winning streak last weekend, so that was impressive. Then they also have the Pacers. Then they'll have the Bulls again, and then the Grizzlies. Then they will return home for a huge matchup with the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, and that's the Houston Rockets. They will play them 2 more times, so they have the matchups against the teams that are in front of them and be able to move up in the standings, including the Grizzlies. In April, a few games I want to point out for you guys that are big for them. They'll get the Golden State Warriors in here on the Thursday night, a TNT matchup on April the 3rd. Then they're going to go to the number 1 seed OKC Thunder and take on the Thunder before a game down in Dallas at the Mavs. That'll be the Anthony Davis reunion game. And then they will end here against the Houston Rockets, again, the number 1 seed, 2 seed in the Western Conference. So for the Lakers to finish at the number 2 seed, it is all in their hands. They did the first part tonight, taking on a team. If you don't have your big dogs, that's on you. You still got to kick your opponent when they're down. The Los Angeles Lakers did that tonight, once again led by Luka Doncic. And then also just another game, big game by Austin Reeves. As I tell people earlier in the pregame, he's not the 3rd option. He's a 1C or a 2B. That's how good Austin Reeves has been for this Los Angeles Lakers team. And then also kudos to JJ Redick once again, who has been able to take this team where a lot of people did not think they would be able to go at this point. We're sitting at March 18th right now, and the Lakers have a legitimate shot to be the number 2 seed. The number 1 seed's locked up with OKC. They have a 13-game lead. But that number 2 seed all the way to the Western Conference Finals can belong to the Los Angeles Lakers if they continue to do what they've been doing on this run right now, especially since the Luka Doncic trade. We had a chance just right now to talk to Luka, and you can start to feel that some of the questions coming from the press is that he's starting to settle in. And I mentioned on my television show, VJ Said What I Said, that's over on Infanity TV, Luka's starting to look like Luka again. When you get traded in the middle of the night, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it can be a shock. And it was a shock. He admitted it was a shock. Anthony Davis admitted it was a shock. But once you settle in, you have to come out here and perform. Luka Doncic has done nothing but that on an extraordinary level. And once again, leading the team tonight while the King LeBron James, all-time leading scorer in NBA history, is nursing the groin. So Lakers get a big win tonight, 120-108, right here, Crypto.com in Los Angeles, California, in downtown. Tomorrow night, we are right back here for the Milwaukee Bucks. Once again, huge game for them as they are now tied at the 5 and 6 seed in the Eastern Conference with the Detroit Pistons with a win over the Miami Heat tonight. I'm VJ Verna Husky, the Big Vanilla Funny, the Big Vanilla Sports Talk Poppy from Crypto.com Arena in downtown Los Angeles, Infanity Television.
JJ, there can be that human nature element of having a big lead. But what are the things that you want to see kind of continue when you go up in a game like this after you have the first quarter that you have?
Yeah, I think defensively the only real sort of lapse was that second quarter. We felt like the game tonight was going to come down, to our ability to get back and defend in transition and take care of the basketball and keep them off the glass. And that wasn't great in the first half, and a lot of those were in the second quarter. We had eight turnovers. They ended up with 21 fast break points, 9 offensive rebounds in the first half, and then cleaned all that stuff up in the second half, which was awesome. And then I think, for 3 quarters, just the way we were able to generate great shots and, Luka leading that. But I think defensively, outside of a couple things, even in the fourth, there were a couple red mistakes, but it was a great night, and I think Vando and Goody really led that for us. You felt them when they were in the game, and they were part of some big runs for us.
You just mentioned them off the bench, and then you also get, I think, 3 guys in double figures, some shots going in off the bench. Obviously, that's going to help on a given night, but anything particularly tonight you saw that got those guys going?
Well, with Jokic out, we knew they were going to red everything, and then when that didn't work, we knew they were going to then fire, and had some turnovers out of that. But once you start going to the double teams, if we're able to move the ball and get in the blender and have the proper spacing, we're able to generate some good shots. And I thought Luka was really patient. Him starting the game aggressively against the Reds, forced them into having to double team him, and then the other guys were beneficiaries of that.
JJ, along those lines, Luka entered tonight averaging about 10 points per game in the first quarter, which is his highest scoring quarter with you guys. Season high 21 tonight in the first. Is there a benefit to him getting going early and just the chain reaction that has with the defense then being forced to double and just that opening up everything else for everyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it was exactly in Dallas, but I know he had a number of big first quarters for them. I remember seeing some stat with last season it was some crazy number of 25-point first quarter. So, this is kind of what he does and has done throughout his career. But we want him to be aggressive no matter what. But he's gonna play the right way. It's not his teammates have talked about that over the last few days. Just the way that he's getting them shots, and that he's not really he's not forcing things when they are double teaming. He's just kind of allowing the game to present itself, and then he makes the read.
Along the same lines, when he gets going like that, have you seen? I mean, the ball's in his hands a lot of the times too, but have you seen a recognition from his teammates in order to kind of keep it going, doing what they can to keep that streak going for him?
Yeah, we've talked about it as a staff, with the group, just having the recognition when he's on the floor. Generally, unless it's transition, an early mismatch when we are healthy, and let's say Rui or LeBron runs the floor, like he should touch the basketball in the half court.
JJ, you've been pretty clear with us that the goal is to make the playoffs, but you guys have been a pretty special team in this building this season. If it comes to a time where going for a home court advantage becomes a thing, do you think what your team's been able to do here, does that make it worth something to chase, perhaps?
Yeah, we would all love to have home court advantage. It would be nice. And our group has been awesome at home so far. They have. But again, you gotta play the next game, and you gotta win the game in front of you. And then I've just seen it too many times. The basketball gods, start messing around with things. The basketball gods, they will punish you.
Going back to Luka's start, even with him having more of these 30-point scoring games as of late, a lot of it seems to have been from three or from the free throw line tonight. I think his first three made shots were inside the arc, including a couple layups. Does that add, I guess, another layer of encouragement in terms of his progression to get back to the Luka Doncic that we've seen for the past 6.5, almost 7 seasons, in terms of the inside the arc scoring?
Yeah, and I think that's been pretty good outside of the Brooklyn game and the other night against San Antonio. Just telling Legler before the game, like, just figuring out some ways for him to go off ball to on ball with some off ball screening that we've introduced over the last week, where he can start with an angle. The play with Kevin Durant at the top of the key in the first half the other day against Phoenix, like, that's a great example of that, where he's catching it and there's already an angle created, and then he can just kind of make reads through his footwork and dribble package. I think that's been really, really good. It's also gotten him to the free throw line some because it's created the early advantage. Tonight they were reading everything off ball, but they gave us some favorable matchups.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Gabe, that's 9 straight wins here at home. Is there anything extra to the way that you guys are playing and with the energy in this building that you're feeling?
I mean, we just play hard, and our fans have been great. Guys make shots when they're open more so at home than they do on the road historically, so that always helps and gives us extra lift. But truly, it's been our defense on these stretches that's been propelling us forward.
JJ mentioned the defense, and on the offensive side, you talked about Luka kind of attacking the Reds early and then forced them into the fires, and how that resulted in the blender and you guys getting open looks. What is the key kind of once that 4-and-3 happens, and where you go, what space you fill, and how comfortable guys are right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's an advantage. So the game gets back to the simplicity of it. Someone's going to be open. You attack until you can't attack anymore and find the open man. We've done a good job of doing that, and we've taken care of the ball in those situations as well, which is huge for us.
Obviously, you guys have had ups and downs throughout this year, and you've been able to respond from them constantly when you've had the downs. What was it like coming back off that 4-game losing streak from the road, and how do you feel like you've responded taking care of this homestand thus far?
I think we just took it all as a learning lesson. I think everyone knows that was a tough stretch for us. Guys were down, guys stepped up. We had a couple really good game performance-wise from a number of people, but it just wasn't enough to get over the hump. And, we just can never get too high or too low and come back home and settle ourselves and just get back in the way we've been playing.
It's appropriate that he's here. A couple months ago, JJ mentioned that at the time you guys didn't have someone who's going to constantly command 2 on the ball, that kind of defensive pressure. Now you guys obviously have that in Luka. You've played alongside that for a month. Was there, I guess, an reorientation period or just learning how to play alongside someone who commands that coverage or those type of coverage from defenses on a regular basis?
I mean, sometimes teams send 3 guys at him. It's just amazing that he finds the open man time and time again. He makes the game so easy for us, whether it's he's getting to the free throw line himself or walking to the rim or making a tough shot when we need one or finding the open guy over and over again, whether it's for the assist or the pocket. It's just he makes the right read every time, and that's something that's invaluable. Yeah, appreciate it.
Luka, that's 9 straight wins at home now. Is there anything extra that you're feeling as a team in this building, or even you individually, and how has that been evolving?
I mean, it's always easier to play at home. I think you got the crowd. You get home here, so it's kind of easier to play at home. So that's what I think.
You've been clear about you're kind of just taking one game at a time. Is that a mentality that goes back to your youth, your dad, or basketball? Where did you get that kind of just not wanting to look too far ahead and think about the next game?
Oh, where did I get that? Honestly, I don't know. But it's just, as a team, as a player, you got to prepare for the next game, not thinking you got to prepare for what's next, not what's in the future. So, I mean, it's always been like that. So, I don't know when it started.
You were able to get, I think, 3 of your first 3 baskets tonight inside the arc. A lot of even with your recent 30-point scoring games, have been free throws and 3-point shooting. I guess, how did it feel for you to be able to find that rhythm or establish that rhythm inside the arc and then, I guess, build it back out from there?
Yeah, I mean, it's easier for me to start there, just driving the ball. I think when I drive the ball, it gets better for everybody in the court. So I wanted to start like that today.
In that same spirit, when you are obviously using your drives to then set up your outside shots, do you use your scoring to set up your passing at all? Like JJ referenced that when you were in Dallas, you had many 20-point first quarters. Is that part of your kind of strategy?
I mean, it's not strategy. It's just what the defense give you. So at the first, they were just switching and let me go 1-on-1. So I know at some point they're gonna double. So just so that I just gotta say, just play out of that. Then we play 4-on-3. We've been doing that great. So that's the game.
Luka, Mike mentioned the 9 straight here, and we've seen your interactions with the crowd and the fans. How has that built over your time here in a month plus, and how do you feed off of the crowd when you're hitting a big shot and they're going crazy, and just kind of that relationship?
I mean, you just feel the energy in the crowd. Some crazy shots that I can hit. So when I hit one of those, I know the crowd goes crazy and just give energy. And I don't think just for me, so just and for the whole team.
Luka, živijo. JJ Redick te ni zamenjal v prvi četrtini, si mu ti kaj rekel, da ga mislim, da te ne zamenja, glede na to, da si imel 20 točk. In kaj ta tekma pomeni, glede na to, da si igral 3 četrtine na dolgi rok za ta težek ritem, ki je pred vami?
Ja, ne, nič mu nisem rekel. On ve, ko mi gre dobro, mislim, vem, da me bo pustil not, tako da to sploh ni bilo vprašanje. Ampak super, tu je malo več počitka, da nisem igral 4. četrtine. Meni top.
Luka, you were, kind of hot from the start, really got the crowd going, the team going. What does it do for the team when you get off to a hot start like that and kind of build momentum from the beginning?
I think it helps the team, especially when I was talking like the energy of the crowd. It was big in the first quarter already, so just for a reminder of the game, it helps everybody.
Luka, why do you think this team has been so successful defensively since you've been here, and what role do you think you've been able to play in that?
I think everybody's connected on defensive end. Just there's a lot of talk and a lot of communication, and then on the effort side, everybody's doing a lot.
Hey, Luka, when you first arrived here, obviously the feeling was shock. Now, nearly 2 months later, what would you say is the main word that you feel being here?
You said the main word? Just one word?
More if you like.
I mean, I like short answers. What would I say? I mean, just feels like getting into new home. Dallas was my home for 7 years, almost 7 years. It really felt like home. So coming here, just trying to build a new home, and I'm getting more and more comfortable.
Luka, mogoče eno out of the box vprašanje. Glede na to, da imamo domačo muziko za tvoje ogrevanje, na podlagi česa zbiraš komade? Je to neko trenutno razpoloženje ali kaj drugega?
Ne, v bistvu jaz sploh ne zbiram. V bistvu jim že prej pošljem veliko komadov, pošljem kakšen radio, tako da tudi oni brskajo, da sami pesme.
Thanks.
Thank you.